to the republic for which it stands, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. For the civility statement, communicate clearly and concisely with respect for the time of others, listen objectively, carefully considering the opinions of others, understand the counterpart effects of disruptive, demeaning, and intimidating behaviors, understand and respect district policies and procedures, and maintain and respect the rich history of the district and the efforts of others who have served in the past. Tonight we start with 5A, public comments, recognitions, and reports. Mr. Mirza, do you have anything?
Yes, so tonight we have a short slideshow to celebrate the honor of retirees to the service district.
Before we do that, sorry. It was
No public comment.
No public.
We don't have any public comments, correct? Okay, now go ahead.
There we go. Okay, perfect. So tonight we have a short slideshow to celebrate and honor our retirees for their service in the district. I want to thank you for your fearless performance during the past 15 plus years and congratulate you on your retirement.
Thank you for sharing that. Do you have anything for the gold standard? Oh, we'll start with this. Ada, do we have Melissa Trusell? Do you have
Melissa Trusell.
Is she in? No. How about Cesar Ortiz? And I'm sure Kent Fairbanks is on. All right. But do you have anything for the gold standard report for us?
Yeah, so school is we're in the middle of ES1 in summer school until July 13th, and I'm happy to report that we've had 0 cases of COVID during the summer school session. And also it was a privilege and honor to attend the convention class of 20 to 2021 at Vasquez High, and 8th grade promotion.
I'm recording now.
Yeah. Any submissions this evening? Thank you. Board comments, Mr. Falscott.
Before we get into board comments, is there going to be a report on the sports program this evening?
Yes.
Okay, I'll hold my comments for that. On that, you can expect these are a little bit about Title IX, credit recovery, charters, and a couple other things when we get to that, but I'll hold that for that. I do want to call out and compliment the Antelope Valley Press. Julie Drake over there covers quite a few school districts all the way from Rosemont, everything in the Antelope Valley, and I think she's keen on covering like things that a lot of people might not catch. It's always nice to have your kid on the front page of the newspaper, but what I like to read, at least regionally, is that our staff is moving ahead. We have some staff here that's not noisy, that kind of plugs away and gets some things in order, like EL programs and CTE stuff that Tim's been talking about and Mr. Wadsworth has been talking about. But an example was that we literally spent maybe 3 minutes on this item, and it was lead the way curriculum. And there was Paxton Patterson was discussed in the meeting before. So what you've got is you've got a continuum of things from the middle school that develop interest and aptitudes where kids can figure, I like this, and then it matures into something at the high school. This has been in the making for a while. The TOSAs and staff have worked to kind of meter out what might work. And Vice President Jorgensen and President Jensen were quoted in here of things that show what your initiatives are, your educational initiatives are for the broader school population. And when we start thinking about all the kids, especially Tim, your comments and your capture that there's going to be equity for people regardless of where they go to some fancy school, go to an industry, you're going to be ready to go. So I'm very proud of you for the way you represent the district. And I think we're on the right road to education. I'll be the first to welcome Brianna. Last night was interesting. I think you'll find. I think this board did a good job of making sure that everybody that applied walked out of here with their dignity and got votes. So I appreciate people in the community. You are here now. You are one of us, and you have a very big responsibility. You are 20% of our decision-making process. I'm glad you're here, and congratulations, and it's yours now.
Thank you. With that, I am very excited to be here. So I thank you for that. I thank you guys for allowing me this opportunity. I'm extremely excited for where we can go from here. I would like to comment on the retiree slideshow that it made me choke up a little bit. There's some people in there, and obviously my mom, that I'm extremely proud of where she was and where she came from, and how hard she's worked to get where she's at, and the amazing things that she's done for this district, as well as those other people on there. Some of them have been working here since I was a student here. Miss Patty was my bus driver when I was in school here, so that, I mean, it's pretty incredible to see where, you know, how much these people have put into our district. Miss Elma's kids used to babysit me when I was little. I'm so in awe of them and their hard work, and huge congratulations on your retirement. If you guys are out there listening, congratulations. And I'm blessed that we got to be a part of your career, and best of luck in the future.
Good evening. I'll keep it short and sweet. Proud to have been part of the two graduations, the 2020 and 2021. It's great to see the students progress and move on. Bittersweet to watch my own son across the stages, but life moves on. Congratulations to the 8th graders that promoted up to high school. I think a lot of good things are going to come your way at our high school here in the future. So we have a lot of things to look forward to. To the retirees, thank you for your service to the school district. Thank you for your service to the community. Your work did not go unnoticed, and it's been great having you be part of our small little town. That'll pass on to Brooke.
Okay, well, welcome, Brianna. You feel it, like Ken says, that you're a part of the board now. And so there'll be a lot of work to do over the next year. I think we're on the right track. And so I asked you when I saw you tonight, did you get your homework done? You said, I was reading. So I appreciate that attention to be prepared for board meeting. I want to recognize all the retirees that are departing. A lot of them are familiar faces to me that I worked with over the years at the sites. They moved around. We all know each other. We laughed and we went through some challenging times, but then by and large, most of them were really rewarding because we're responding to student needs and making sure that our students are going to be successful. I remind you that one thing that's going to be a little bit of a challenge is letting go. It's having to let go of what you've been good at for a number of years and been very exceptional. I was always told you got to let go, you got to learn to let go. It's harder to let go when you really are doing a great job, and we really appreciate that. But now you can stay up late and sleep in. Not that I do that, but that's what you can do. It was a great opportunity for our graduation that the high school put on for the 1920, that came after the 2021. I think there was like 40 of our students were still in town and or returned, which was good to see them, because the 2021 were my last freshman class before I retired. So I was seeing them all the trouble they gave me when they were freshmen. Now they're graduates going on to do things, and it was a real pleasure of mine to see them growing and continuing on in their education, going on with their careers, and I wish them all the very best. the small district can respond to student needs. And it's a small group of staff, a small group of individuals, adults that are working, making an impact, and it's been my pleasure. So I wish you all the best. Everybody have an enjoyable 4th of July coming up. Be safe and have a good time.
First, I'd like to welcome Brianna. It's going to be really nice to have you and some of your history that you bring, and so we're happy to have you. It's going to be fun to work with you. I appreciate you stepping out and wanting to join the board. So we look forward to having you. Also to the retirees, there's some people I know as well, and it's, gosh, it seems like yesterday my kids were in school and like now they have kids in school, so it's been a while. So I'm sure Pam Hope is not listening tonight. I bet you she's horseback riding somewhere. But hopefully they're enjoying their retirement. We appreciate all of your service, and we'll continue to do the work to make you proud here in Action, that's what I'll say. I apologize that I was not able to make the graduations. Some family emergencies happening, and so thank you to Mr. Jorgensen for stepping in.
And they did like your Zoom by.
Oh, my little joke. Thank you. So so I appreciate that. I just want to give a shout out to everyone that's been working on the summer school program. You know, across the country, it's been really hard to get people to teach summer because after distance learning and stuff, people are just really tired. Parents are tired, students are tired, teachers are tired, everyone's tired. So I just want to really give a shout out to the staff that's been working for summer, and also to the teachers. I just really appreciate, you know, taking the time and putting in that effort to help our students. And thanks to the parents that have entrusted us with their students and sending them, so I appreciate that. And just a shout out to Mrs. Shaw, who could not be here this evening. She also had some an emergency this evening. So best wishes to Mrs. Shaw, and thank you, Mr. Mirza, for stepping in tonight. So we appreciate everyone's hard work. So with that, I hope everyone has a wonderful summer and gets some rest, and we'll be back here in August, and so we appreciate that.
I wanted to congratulate the High Desert promotion as well, and also to welcome, there are going to be some significant changes with their new principal starting on the 1st of July. So, Michelle Van Ornum, we're looking forward to some hard work from you to get your school ready for fall.
I think she's already been thinking of a lot of things, and I bet you she's on tonight. So yes, congratulations to Michelle as well. It's going to be exciting to see what happens. New great things happening. Okay, so for the consent agenda, I did a motion to approve the consent agenda for items, what is it, 8A to 8K. I did a motion. I get a second? Is there anything that we need to discuss on the consent agenda?
I want to pull the closed session special meeting of Saturday, June 5th, 2021 for a comment. So let's separate that out, please. If anyone else has anything they want to pull, let's do that.
So 8C, 8B, you're talking about the minutes, Mr. Falco?
Yes.
Okay,
The minutes from the one meeting, not all minutes.
okay, from 6-5?
Yes.
So we have a motion, so we're going to approve 8A, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, and K. So can I get a vote?
As amended, Walshcraft, aye.
Ted Walker, aye.
Tim Jorgensen.
Kelly Johnson, I have to 5-0, motion carries. Now you're asking to make comments, or do you want to?
No, I'm going to make a comment.
Okay.
Now here, and then I'll ask for the vote.
Okay, so we'll go with
So I'll move it in.
okay, 8B. Tim has been a second.
So here are my comments. This was related to the superintendent search. I wanted to remind everyone that this is a publicly available document. It's attached to the agenda. When we had that meeting that Saturday morning to interview the candidates, we want to remember that people that apply for jobs, some agencies you work for, if they were to find out you would apply, they would tell you hit the road right now. So it's pretty normal not to leak names or information about different candidates. And sometimes it's pretty easy to figure out who they are just by, if you pull their name off, you might be able to figure out who they are. And then you start asking questions and make the phone calls, and the next thing you know, somebody's being told if you want to look for a job, because most superintendents are kind of at will in one way or another. You can call it what it is, and there's a lot of politics behind the scenes with that. But I want to call to everyone's attention that it captured in here that I asked, with the pleasure of my colleagues, that the consultant, Dennis, with Leadership Associates, would frame the process up to there, what had happened. I asked him questions about whether or not stakeholders' input was gathered, if that input was incorporated into the job description and the job posting, if there were exceptions to allow applications that really didn't meet the criteria those people let in. Were there any applications let in after the cutoff date? Were there any received before the start date? And finally, I asked probably the most important questions. Do we expect surprises popping up after someone is hired? Like, say, for example, a simple Google search finds out that an employee that you hired has been involved in a couple of lawsuits with the same dollar amount down the road. It's hypothetical with that. So at the end of the day, and I think there's a movie of this, I asked all those questions. I think somebody else asked a couple. And so it framed the process really well. And I think we're all going to be pleased with the result. I'm certainly pleased with the candidate pool we had. It was a very difficult decision. And we'll be able to hear more about the vision of the superintendent. But that said, I just wanted to point that out. That was captured within the minute. So thank you. Unless someone else has questions, I think we can call the vote.
Okay. So Ken made a motion, Tim second. Let's call for the vote.
Anybody else? Ballscraft, aye.
I'm not with that.
They're Jordan, so that.
Kelly Judson, aye. 5-0. Motion carries. Thank you. Pages. Okay, next we have 9A, the personnel action report of charge. Can I get a motion?
I'll move.
Or, excuse me, 10A, personnel action report. Who made the motion? Was it Tim or Ken?
I did.
Ken.
Also.
Tim the second. Mr. Mercer,
Yeah, I just wanted to congratulate, employees for their promotion and friends who, in particular, the commission assistant account technician, with Hillary Milligan, that's going to be with Kim Shaw, Casey's previous role, and Shiloh Dumas New York, who's going to be the school secretary.
thank you for sharing that. Discussion?
Yes, congratulations, number one, Amy Frank. You have always been a good service. I've said this before, having you be in the first face that people meet at the door coming into district office. Sometimes people come in, especially pre-COVID, they're not here to give anybody a greeting card. Sometimes they're upset. I really very much like your professionalism, the way you conduct yourself, and your reputation in the community. There is nothing to tie on to you that would make your employment and the way you represent the district questionable. Hillary, I don't know what Tammy's going to do without you. I'm so glad that you're moving into something. I don't think you have to be so friendly now. I think you can be mean to the papers and still be effective. And just congratulations to everybody for your promotions and moving ahead. And I know you're all here to do the district a fine job.
Anyone else?
I would like to point out that Shiloh's position a couple months ago was one of our positions that was laid off. She was one of our employees that we had people speaking out that we were extremely sad that we were going to be losing her. So I'm excited for her, and I'm excited for High Desert, I'm excited for our district that we were able to retain her, and now she has a position with even more hours and all that. So huge congratulations, Shiloh. I'm glad we were able to do that, keep her on our staff. She's a good person.
I would just like to thank you. I'd like to congratulate all of them. I was so excited to see this report, and we have some wonderful employees. Your hard work and dedication is noticed, and it's just great to see that when we can able to promote within our own district when that happens. It's always, the best person should get the position, and let's look at some great people. So just congratulations to all of them.
I'll add to that, congratulations to everybody who got the spot they were applying for. Amy Frank, I don't know you that well, so congratulations nonetheless. Ms. Hillary, I'm so proud that you have moved up into this spot. It's well deserved. Slightly saddened that all the kids are going to come through a middle arc. We're not going to have you there to back them up. You've been a vital part of that school for so long, and definitely has not gone unnoticed. Shiloh, beyond ecstatic, you're at High Desert. I think that school is going to take off like a rocket ship between having yourself and Mrs. Van Ornum up there. You guys both are energetic, you have vision, and I think that High Desert is just going to become an excellent school. So I'm very excited for those advancements. Congratulations.
I apologize to that. I think you're going to have a fun event.
So I get that, Hillary, you've been there for ages, not trying to age you, but you have rock solid performance. Now you get to come to the district office, your classroom, your responsibilities just got a little bit bigger. Well deserved and well earned. Shiloh, it's going to be your energy, bringing it down to the middle school to prep all those hawks to become Mustangs. That's going to be a great job for you. And of course, Amy, you have to take your candy jar with you when you go to the back office. I already cleared with the boss. Congratulations to you all. It's going to be a great job.
It's just going to be fabulous. So thank you. Let's call for the vote.
Paul Scrapp, aye.
Brianna Simpson, yeah.
Chad Watson, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye.
Kelly Jensen, I got 5-0, motion carries. We have 10B, resolution number 2020-21.24, authorization to meet job site credential and code 44258.3. Can I get someone to move this in?
So,
Second, Mr. Mercer, do you have any?
So these two resolutions are for our teachers to be able to teach the electives, and they look similar, but one is pertaining to specifically the number of units that the teacher is going to getting credentials, and the other one is what they go in terms of community. And so these are something that we do every year.
In the interest of transparency, can we show the report, please?
Yeah, some of the attachments.
I'm not so much interested in the names as I am the topics. And what I want to say is, when you start looking at a small school district with declining enrollment, I don't think you're going to have somebody that is teaching physiology classes all day long, plant physiology, anatomy, technology literacy, that kind of things. I think you've got a lot of TOSA support going on here and that type of thing. So this doesn't mean that we have an inadequate program for people that aren't capable of teaching these classes. It's just that our enrollment in the core subjects are going to eat up most of those positions. And I think that we're fortunate to have people here that can run this thing. I don't know of anyone, for example, that has an ASD doctorate yearbook degree. So some of this stuff is just a no-brainer, but it's a technicalities of things.
Anyone else have discussion?
So I want to point out that this takes a lot of effort by the staff that are willing to take on these assignments. They're not necessarily working outside of their credential of experience, but licensing. So they're in the process, and I see my health is up. I have my credential, but I know Mr. Tarasi is working hard. I've talked with him, and I see visual arts with Ms. Miller and the ASD and yearbook. Those things, they're all critical to success of our students at the high school, and I applaud the
staff members to take on these assignments and to do their best to continue to grow with our students. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll just try to kind of piggyback on what you said. It's just so nice to see that our employees are really there to help our students and just do offer them some different courses. So we do appreciate you, teachers. Thank you so much. All right, let's call for the vote.
Boswell, aye.
Anna Tesselman, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jordan.
Kelly Johnson, aye. 5-0, motion carries. And then we have 10C resolution number 2020-21.25, authorization to teach outside credential and code 44263.
Boswell moves that in.
That's second.
Any discussion?
Let's do the same thing, please. All fine programmers, thank you.
Okay, let's call for the vote.
I want to point out what Ms. Lundquist is doing with this. This is some of the offside, the core that these students can learn and go right out of high school and go right to work. And this is another one of that continuing thing to give them opportunities to pique their interest in what they'd like to do. And I'm really appreciative. She's done a super job there. But I know when she first came to high school, I don't know. She loves it. She's doing a great job. And I just like this opportunity that these kids get to have opportunities to learn something outside of their core subject.
I will say this,
Such a
sorry.
fun cost to visit, yes.
I will say this, Ms. Lundquist, the public can't see it, but there's a poster right next to our screen where Ms. Lundquist's class is on Channel 5 News. Kendra is on there. You see the look?
It's right here.
Yeah, the ratings went through the roof the next day. But that is what Ms. Lundquist does. She puts people on television.
And they learn how to get comfortable talking to a mechanical device and be sellable,
We're
relatable.
Our family's used to that already, but for the other kids, perfect.
Well, coming from you, I get that. Anyway, thank you, staff.
Ms. Lundquist, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Like I said, great class to visit. I love visiting that class. Okay, let's call for the vote.
Boswell, aye.
Rita Tesselman, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen.
Kelly Johnson, I that's a 5-0, motion carries. And we have 11A, Vasquez High School Athletics Presentation. Mr. Mirza.
Yes, and we have Matthew Butler and Ashley Shelley Sparks CA. And we presented to you guys tonight on the athletics for Vasquez High. Valid ones.
Good evening, board. Can you hear me? Good. Well, welcome tonight. Thank you for having me. I'm going to keep this presentation relatively short because I know that we do have quite a bit on our agenda for tonight. So first off, on our next slide, we have a picture of our track team when they were practicing. I'm sorry, not track, cross country. But first, I'd like to talk about some of our spring celebrations. So boys soccer, they were the league champions and they made playoffs. Unfortunately, they didn't progress too far, but we're still excited that they were the league champions and that they made the playoffs this year. Girls soccer, they took second place in league, and track as well took second place in league. We have a couple of pictures of both of the soccer teams. And then a few more spring celebrations. Swim, they took second place in league as well, which is extremely great considering the fact that they didn't have any facilities to practice in other than people's swimming pools in the community. They had to travel to Fillmore to compete. So I'm very excited by the swim team and all of the accomplishments that they had within league this year. I know that we're going to go further next year when we actually have facilities to work with. Baseball, go ahead and go back for me. Baseball, they were the league champions. They went to the quarterfinals, and they were the VHS male team of the year. Softball, league champions as well. They made playoffs. Unfortunately, they lost in the first round, but they were also our VHS female team of the year. So we had a lot of great success this year with our teams, even with all of the conditions that they had to work through and the hoops they had to jump through. So we did amazing this year at Vasquez, and we can only move forward and do better in the next school year. The next slide has some pictures of baseball and softball in action. For public edification, I wanted to briefly talk about some of the COVID restrictions that have kind of gone by the wayside. So all COVID restrictions were lifted June 15th, so it's just been over a week or so. There is no more testing requirement. As you'll remember, that was a part of indoor athletics. We needed to test, so we don't need to do that anymore. However, we have partnered with LA County Office of Ed and the county to make testing available as needed by parent choice. So it won't be a requirement by any means, but if it's something that will make a parent or an athlete feel more comfortable about participating in sports, we will have that option for them. All indoor and outdoor sports can resume pre-pandemic operations. So there's very limited conditions that are going to be different. At this point, the only thing that really stands out is currently masks are required still indoors in schools. So that would, I think, follow along with our spectators would be expected to have masks if they were watching a volleyball game or a basketball game at this point. A dead period, some of you may not know what this is, but CIF has waived their dead period. That's typically a 21-day period where there's to be no contact between athletes and coaches. Traditionally, VHS has done this in July, usually around the 4th of July holiday, so that we don't mess with families' travel plans. So we don't have a site dead period this year, but we do allow the individual sports and coaches to elect to have some time off during the summer as they see fit for their individual sport. As you guys will remember, you guys passed the academic probation, and we specifically wanted to make sure that it continued to apply for the fall 2021 sports through our first quarter grades. And that was simply because anything going into the start of fall is dictated by second semester grades, as well as what students do over summer school if they improve a grade or improve their GPA. But currently that academic probation is a 1.33 GPA, no more than 2 Fs, and they have to have earned 20 credits in the last formal grading period. Summer school is an option for athletes to improve their academic eligibility, so they can be using Vasquez's summer school program right now. They can also utilize Learn for Life if they choose to go outside of the district for summer school. And the way that would work is if a student failed a second semester class and they retake that exact same class during summer and they improve the grade, they can then replace that grade when calculating GPA. If they're taking a class that they didn't have second semester, so for example, maybe a first semester class that they failed, we would just then add that into the total classes that they took and recalculate the GPA, but it doesn't replace the grade. So there's some fine detail with CIF and how they utilize summer school for eligibility purposes. So our timeline this year, coaching positions were posted internally at the beginning of June 2021. Walk-on coaches will be contacted if our internal candidates do not fill a position. Those coaching position vacancies should be filled within the next week or so. We're currently working on the paperwork to finalize that's all of the information, make sure we have all of the certifications and things in place that we need for our coaches. And then, of course, the board approval for each individual coach is to be determined at a later date. The vacancies that we will continue to have, if they're not filled by a certificated member or a walk-on coach, we'll continue to post them through EdJoin as needed. Looking forward to next year, tryouts are occurring so far for volleyball. We've had some preseason practices and conditioning. We've had some parent meetings with football. We're looking at pep rallies in the fall, winter, and spring as we normally would through an ASB organization. Some ideas for team fundraisers that I've had with some of the various coaches. Restaurant nights that we're all used to at La Cabana or McDonald's or Don Chado's. Another example was ad banners up on potentially the softball field backstop. We've sent interest lists out to all students to find out what students are interested in so that we can get a clear picture of where the need is and where the desire is of our students. Games and tournaments are currently being scheduled, especially for volleyball. One thing I wanted to bring up is the uniforms. Last year, uniforms were purchased using site funds for football, volleyball, cross country, baseball, softball, and track. So typically we would be on a rotation basis by season, but knowing that we were going to have extra money because we weren't able to hold athletics, I wanted to make sure that we were able to purchase new uniforms going forward, since we weren't quite sure what the fiscal outlook looked like going forward. This year, to continue that process, I want to be able to purchase uniforms for soccer, basketball, and tennis. That should round out every sport that we typically field. We will also have swim in there. That one might be more of a yearly, not a rotation, just because of the hygienic aspect of the swim. But that's where we're at for uniforms being purchased. If we continue to the next slide, we're looking at what to do with some of the old uniforms. We could potentially use them to sell after we've gone through the proper channels of marking them obsolete. We could sell them for fundraising. We can donate them. We can also keep them for potential JV uniforms if we field JV teams, for things like baseball as an example, and softball as an example. Teams and individual coaches can work with their individual sports and raise funds for personalized uniforms if they choose through the ASB process. So we will have a site set of uniforms for each sport, but individual sports can purchase their own if they want to have personalized names and be able to keep it at the end of the season. They still have that ability to do that. Again, officials were paid out of site funds this year because there was no gate fees that we could really collect because of not having spectators. We'll continue that process in the next year as much as possible, with the expectation that eventually our teams are being able to fundraise and use that money towards paying officials and becoming more self-sustainable. As we know, our student population has dropped over the last 10 years, where we've gone from probably 500 students down to about 350. The makeup of the community as a whole from a socioeconomic standpoint has changed in the last 10 years as well. So while fundraising may have been extremely lucrative maybe in the past, it may be a little bit more difficult with some of those other factors that are more recent in the last 4 or 5 years. And of course, after the pandemic, we really don't know what the demographic in terms of socioeconomic status and ability we will have with the community going forward. So we want to make sure that we still give our students the opportunity to have these games and have these officials paid for, at least as much as possible through the next year. And that concludes the presentation of our athletics, and I will open it up to questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Brockway, Mr. Sparks in the background. My comments will be directed at administration. I think the kids do a fine job being athletes. The site principals are only as good in administrating sports programs directives, the direction they get from the administration. Be very clear. My direction for the new superintendent is compliances with Title I stuff, EL, Title IX, that type of thing. So it's not my job to figure out who the coach is and things like that. Here's what I will say. I'll start off with this. My comment to administration, we kind of buzzed through what the requirement for coaching is. So I'm reading this to say that if there is someone who's a certificated person who wants to be the coach, they have first shot. That makes sense to me. Unless all of a sudden you've got a coach that's been coaching for 8 or 9 years, and now suddenly there's a movement to put someone who doesn't have the experience or relationship, and so now we're just going to replace that coach. I don't think that does something. I certainly do not want an administrator to be talking to me in closed session about a problem that we have legally, a Title IX problem or something like that, just because we're trying to stack up people's paychecks by adding on another something. I don't think that we want to create an environment of tension between people that are part of the association and people that are coming out of the community to help our kids. I don't want to hear any of that. Please take that one to the bank. Next thing I want to talk about is, I do want to talk about Title IX. Title IX is not some boy that wants to play on the girls' tennis team. That's not the spirit of Title IX. It's gender equity, meaning in some schools, like I grew up in a little town, 5,000 people. Half the people were actually in prison. I wasn't. We had 2,500 people in town. We had an artificial ice arena in 1976. Think about that. So you had a huge boost organization. Hockey was huge. But I'm not sure that the girls' volleyball team had the resources. I'm not sure that the girls' softball team had the resources. So when somebody decided to build Vasquez High School, someone was smart enough to apply for Title IX funds. I remember sitting on a board where some of the people on the board did not understand Title IX, and they were actually proposing that we take the funding after we got it and use it to build the boys a new baseball field and give the girls the old baseball field. No. The attorney is like, no, you don't do that. So here's what this looks like. When you get funded for a facility, you will be audited. It's just a matter of time. They're not going to come to the girls' softball field and see if there's a softball laying there and call that an audit. What they're going to do is they're going to audit your program. The work environment I'm in is highly regulated. Some others of us have worked in highly regulated things where people come in and do funding audits. Here's what I expect to see. Do all of your teams have equity and access to administration and to resources? There's only one way to show that type of equity. That's you have meetings on a regular basis. Quarterly meetings, for example, would be a good place to start. We have an agendized meeting in which each sport and each coach is listed, give an update, brief update, and be able to say, I need these kind of resources. Here's where we're going. You run down the list. There's a sign-in sheet. If you don't come to the meeting, have somebody come for you. But at the end of the day, when the auditors come in, I want to hand them stacks of meeting agendas that say the girls' softball team was at the meeting. They gave an update. I don't care what team it is. If it's Tiddlywinks junior varsity team, I want to see these meetings agendized. I want to see minutes, and I want to see people having equity that's measured. That will be my direction to the superintendent. You can see the same things that are coming out of us for EL and some other things. I do not want to find myself with my employer looking at the newspaper and seeing that Fallsgraf is now a defendant in a Title IX case. Please do yourself a favor if you are an administrator in this district. Google school district Title IX settlement. It's shocking. So let's work on making sure that, because I hear a lot in the background, oh, they bypassed me to do this. They went over here to do that. Let's skip all that. Make the agenda, make sure people are there, and make sure that you can show that there has been a real effort for equity. I want to talk about eligibility now, sports eligibility. First off, kids, academic probation is not a means to kick a series of F grades down the road. You have the right to go to your coach. Your coach has the right to go to the athletic director. Your athletic director has the right to go to the principal, who has the right to bring it up in cabinet meeting. I don't think we have the resources we need to support these kids to make them eligible again. Please follow that food chain, please. Check in with your kids, If you're getting Fs now, some of us don't understand everything. Some of us come on earlier about our understanding of things. Some of us need practical experience, like the things Tim is talking about. Oh, I get it when I'm welding. I get math when I'm welding, things like that. So take the opportunity and expect that we can help service you, but don't fall behind and take advantage of the programs. I want to talk to you about credit recovery. I give this speech every year. I remember one year, one of the summer school people came in and put applications in our hallway. And on the application, there's a difference between enrolling in a charter school and applying to enroll in a charter school. And this application had things on it like, I certify that my child has never had an IEP or a 504. I went through the roof. You can't do that. If you're going to take on kids, take on all comers, please. If you see that, if you do not let that, as an administrator, do not let those types of documents, that type of discrimination and student sorting and creaming happen in this district. I'm so keen on it. I could teach a college class. Next thing, I want you to be aware. Some kids are coming out of 8th grade not understanding your athletic eligibility for high school will hinge back on what you were doing there. So be aware of that. If there's something that happens, and I'll tell you, here's the perfect victim. I am a booster. For a sport, could be, I don't know, gymnastics, could be tennis. I don't have a lot of fundraisers. I've not had fundraisers. I find myself in a position of needing resources. The district's budget is like this, so I need resources. I've got some athletes on my team that are failing. Some charter operators come along and say, hey, we can help you out. You take 1, 2, 3 classes through the school, and we'll send you to gymnastics camp or tennis camp or cheer camp for free. Maybe we'll give you Disneyland tickets and call it Science Discovery or whatever it is. If you bring us a lot of kids, you bring us your whole team, you know what? We're going to give you some money back for your booster. Guess what? That's illegal. It's very illegal because you're gifting public funds. And then sometimes when you sign up for this, you don't realize they don't unenroll you. 2 years later, you found out you've been enrolled over here, and these people have been taking the money for several years. Does this sound far-fetched? No, it happened in this district. In fact, there's a gentleman who was in Hawaii who's regionally active in sports, helping kids. Not AYSO, but kind of like that. You've got a regional sports network. And this person was told, hey, sign up, get your athletes that need credit recovery. And they did. And it was a great thing because people were coming back and talking about, oh, hey, our booster got money. Guess what? A person was a defendant in the case of this district. It's now sending out $700 and some thousand to pay back on a $50 million swindle. This happened right in this district. Administrators, listen very carefully. If you are hearing that you have charter operators, they might even be people you know, they might even be people that worked here before. If you see them coming in and you're hearing people talk about free camps, free tickets, and enrollment for credit recovery, it's your responsibility to tell us, please. Thank you. Finally, I'll say this. I have a riddle. Which team in the district crosses all boundaries? Doesn't matter how big the ball is, what shape it is, what uniform you're wearing. What team crosses all those boundaries? Guesses?
I don't know.
Yes! Our new board member. That's the reason she's here. Please say it aloud.
Cheer?
Cheer. Is our cheer team ready to go? Do we have an advisor? When do they start? I think they're starting in August, right? They got to be at all these games. Do they have an advisor? Do they have the resources that they need? Are they going to be able to cheer it all? Is everyone trained in the protocols that they might have? Are they ready to go? Crickets. Maybe they're not ready to go. Let's get them ready to go.
Okay.
Okay.
Started. You're asking that question.
When you move up to be a superintendent,
Sorry.
I'll pay you to answer that one. You hear what I'm saying? Let's make sure they're supported. All right, I'm done. Thanks.
All right. Sorry.
Good job.
I'm just learning my place. I want to comment on how awesome it is to see our sports jump back into where they needed to be and getting our kids back out there. I know that there are some kids that were relying on sports scholarships to get to, to help pay for college or to get into college. I know that there are some kids that use sports as motivation, that school is not the important part, and for them, that their sports are, and that keeps them going to get those good grades and all that. So sports are a huge part of our school. It's a huge part of our community. So I want to thank Coach Sparks and Mr. Brockway and all of our coaches and all of our parents and all of our athletes for getting back out there. I know that wasn't easy for a lot of our athletes who were confined, and then all of a sudden they have to go back and maybe they weren't where they were, so they had, misgivings and all of this stuff. So it's a huge step for them to get back out there and then to perform like they did. I just want to say job well done to everybody involved. I'm proud of you guys.
I will add, thank you Brockway and Sparks for putting together that presentation. Thank you for both of your hard work at Vasquez, not unnoticed. I do want to make sure that we are keeping the academic standards high in order to become an athlete on our school. So when you have the kids that are failing and struggling, let's give them the assistance so that they can earn their way back to the teams, not just give them the spots, because I genuinely believe that if you just give them the spots, they're not going to focus on their academics. Both the sports and academics, to me, go hand in hand. You have to earn what you want. Next, we talked a bit about social economics in this town, Mr. Brockway. There are a lot of people that are willing to donate funds to our athletic programs. You just need to find a way to make it, one, legal to obtain them, and two, you need to reach out yourself and Mr. Sparks to a handful of people that are always willing to donate, and that the money could be more available to you. I'm sure of that. Lastly, the only thing I did see on that athletic report was probably one of the best teams that we could have, and that would be a wrestling program. And I do know there is a certain person in this town that would love to make that happen. So when we can figure that out, that would be awesome. And outside of that, good job, gentlemen. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Mr. Brockway and Coach Sparks for the organization of what the intentions are to restart our athletic department. Because I know that you share, as I do, that athletics is a direct link to academic success. And tapping into what Mr. what Chad said, that I don't have a problem as a coach and experience of giving some leeway to our students as we recover from COVID and all the events through the first quarter of the year. However, our key asset that we have here is the coaches. The coaches in their individual programs, their standards by and large are usually greater than what we as a district have for their program. You want to be on this program, here's what I need. Mr. Comstock in soccer, Terry, they've just done a great job. Peter in the boys soccer. I know that everybody, and I'm sure that Sheldon, you and your baseball programs, you have high expectations for your student athletes. And that's something that as we build the program back to what it was years past, as we grow, that when we bring in coaches, that we have coaches that are going to actually be teachers in all sense. building a program, teaching them responsibility, character, integrity, and keeping that academic work in place so that we don't have to come up with this waiver of eligibility coming out of our middle school, because it's something that's not going to be, we're not going to be willing to extend that ever. They're just going to be ineligible until that first grading period. I have a few questions that I'd like to focus on. I don't care which, either one can respond to. All the programs that we currently have, do you know how many vacant coaching positions that we have to fill?
It's okay.
Is that a question to the district administrator?
No, it's, they know which programs that they have coaches that we're going to recommend.
Sorry, they just unmuted me. So currently technically all of them are vacant at this point. As far as certificated employees that put in for coaching, we would be filling baseball and softball with Mr. Sparks and Ms. Salcedo. The rest of the sports, so for fall, we would have football and volleyball. They would likely be filled by the last walk-on coaches that we had. So Ms. Hudson for volleyball, Mr. Esker for football, Mr. McKnight for cross country. For our winter season, we would have boys and girls basketball. Unfortunately, we weren't able to hire on these two individuals last year, but we're still hoping that they're still interested. Mr. Brandon Ruffin and Mr. Gene Schnarr. For soccer, we would have Mr. Pete Zorba. And then for girls soccer, that one's currently vacant. We'll be reaching out to Mr. Terry Comstock to see if he's still interested in continuing on as coach. For our spring season for swim, we'd like to continue with Ms. Harris. And for track, right now it's a vacancy. I know Mr. Ivy Calvin Jr. was helping us out this year. I don't know if he's interested in next year as well. I think that pretty much wraps it up. The only other sport that I know that I don't know we have anyone specific for is tennis at this point.
Right. So in the event that we don't have a certificated person that is, and I'm going to preface this with some comments. I understand and I agree that certificated employment has the opportunity of first call, let's say. If they see an open coaching position, that they should be hired. The caveat is that they need to be qualified for that position. They don't just get it because they're a teacher in my mind. And I know I've talked with the assistant superintendent, and I'll be bringing it up with our new superintendent, that when they post teaching assignments, I've been asking and requesting, add a cap line to it. Coaching positions may exist. Give the applicant the opportunity to say, well, I can teach. Hey, there's a coaching position as well, an opportunity. So as we work through these things, we want to make sure that we do this. So if I'm hearing you right, the absence of a certificated employment taking a position, so our existing ones, Mr. Zorba, Ms. Hudson, you mentioned, that's the swim coach, and twist Terry's arm for girls soccer, don't let him off the hook. And George for football, those walk-on coaches, you're going to be, it's your anticipation you'll be recommending them so they can continue their program during the summer to prepare?
Correct. Now, they would still obviously need to be board approved like anyone else. But if they've been previously board approved, I think that they'd be able to continue seamlessly through the summer. Any new person to the district, for example, the basketball coaches that I had mentioned, they wouldn't be able to do anything during the summer unless there was some special board meeting to approve them on a personal action report or something like that. But by and large, if they've been coaching for us and they want to continue to coach for us, then we're hoping to have a seamless transition.
And there will be I hope there will be some coordination with, and I get it's an ancillary sport, it's a small sport, there's 2 or 3 students that have expressed interest in our tennis, we had it before, we want to return it, that there'll be some way that you can talk with one of your staff members to facilitate them so that they can get some racket time and work out some opportunities while we're waiting to find a coach to give those kids an opportunity. One question that I want to bring up is that Are we accessing or using the CIF website for Coaches Wanted that doesn't cost us anything?
Not that I'm aware of, but it is something we can definitely explore and put out to our certificated staff if anyone is willing.
Right, because we have all participants working with students need to be board approved background check, but we have a certificate that maybe they can team up with to give them some incidental time while we're trying to search that out. So we're not waiting until the last minute to try to fill that position.
Right, now we'll continue to post the position and keep it posted. I know that chair was brought up earlier. There was an oversight on chair, and that one hasn't posted yet, so we're currently working on that one internally first, and then we'll also be looking potentially externally if there isn't an internal candidate that fits the qualifications.
Right, because the concern I have is that we're going into our board dead period, that even if you have a recommendation, how are we going to get them involved so we can get it, even though it's probably a super candidate? So just want to encourage you and Mr. Sparks to continue to advocate, talk with your superintendent and staff to say, I need this guy, we got to get this done. So whatever that person is, because the students come first, we want to make sure we have that opportunity.
Absolutely, we've been working with district administration since May on this, so we're trying to be as quick as possible.
Okay, so question.
I apologize. I think I'm having problems with my internet, so hopefully it'll come back on.
Athletes are, so they can move forward.
The survey list was sent out to all current 8th through 11th grade students, so next year's 9th through 12th grade students. Ms. Van Ornum also helped out and made, I think, more individualized contact with some 8th grade students. So Ms. Van Ornum has been helping out on that, and it's all on a spreadsheet. We can give it to any coach that needs it. I know we've given the information already to volleyball. I believe I gave access to Mr. Esker for football as well. I know softball has already been internally doing it, and baseball has already been looking at it as well.
Because to me, that transition is crucial to keep the kids, to let them know that we do have programs. And particularly now we're recovering from COVID restrictions. It's like, let's light the firecrackers on July 4th and make sure that they all know that we can do this. I was pleased to see in your presentation that you recognize that you're reacting to the waiver by CIF, that 21-day period is to keep the coaches away from the athletes, give them an opportunity to go on vacation with their families. That's all good and well, but they waive that to give schools opportunities to help prepare their programs, to restart their programs. And we as a small school have a real desire and a need for that. And I'm glad that I saw that you're going to allow that to take place, work with the coaches, particularly with our fall coaches, cross country, girls volleyball and football, so that they can get prepared and work out. Coaches know they have to be, flexible because parents are going to be going on vacation. But to let everybody know that Mustang Athletics is coming back, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The other thing that still raises concern with me is CIF has what they call, and I'm sure you're familiar with this, competitive equity with regards to playoffs. Meaning that if there's a team that stays in a league in a certain division and they're totally dominating that, they like to stay there because they always make the playoffs. And the teams that sometimes are working to struggle to get through that are constantly have this uphill slog. And it's not for us small schools, it's the big schools down in Orange County and downtown and all that stuff that really, the LA down in that downtown, the big schools, Palmdale, the Golden League, the Foothill League, the big schools, but we're caught up in it because it's a CIF thing. What we do and what we can do from competitive equity on a local basis is make sure that we're presenting the best competitive advantage to our program as a whole. That means that all of our teams that we go to a league, currently, what league are we associated with for all of our sports?
I believe we're heritage for most, and then for football, I don't think we are part of an actual league for football at this point. I know that the AF is doing some re-leaguing, so I don't know if that'll play into anything, but I would have to double check on football.
I was going to talk about this, right? So football, because Heritage League that we belong to does not have enough schools offering football. In order for us to do football, our football either has to cross league into another league and go in. I think that I heard from George and somebody else is that we're now going to be playing in the Apple Valley against Riverside Prep, Lucerne Valley, Silver Valley. That's where football's going. Is that correct?
Yeah, we after the football season the 2019-2020 school year, George and I had some conversation about trying to find more appropriate schools that were similar in size and kind of ranking, so we wouldn't be playing against, in terms of those like competitive advantage that you were talking about, places like, I can't think of the place that we played off that would just like annihilated us. So we're trying to be more competitive with like-sized groups, and unfortunately for that, we have to travel.
Yeah, the talent pool is of similar nature, so that we're not playing against a school with 1,200 kids or 1,000 kids or whatever. So this leads me to my comments that I want to suggest, and that I always want to make sure is that I think it's imperative that administrators, yourself and your athletic director, your CIF does what they do. We're a member of them because we're in their district. But we alone as a site can, every 4 years, there's the opportunity for league realignment. And that's the opportunity for internally for you and the schools to make an assessment. Where are we growth-wise? Have we grown? Are we more competitive? Are we bigger? Are we smaller? Where can we go? What league realignment can we move into that gives our kids or programs as a whole to be competitive? Not just 1, 2, or 3, but gives all the kids from soccer all the way up to baseball to football, to everybody. And that's where I think that the emphasis needs to be that your research will look for and find during league realignment, which is that opportunity that CIF provides. We find the league, go out, introduce ourselves, say we'd like to join your league, and get into these public small school leagues that the athletics are balanced. The ADA is balanced. There's club sport influence going on that we don't have here. And that's something I'm encouraging you both to look at that when that opportunity comes up, to take advantage of that, to get us into a league with balance across the program all the way through. Let's see, got a couple more here. So I talked briefly about eligibility, and I want to share some of the notes. When I was doing my graduate study at Ohio University in sports administration, Dr. Mason, the founder of this program, which was the first in the nation, he drilled into us there are 2 key elements to making your program successful, no matter where. If you were a D1, a D2, a D3 college, if you were a junior college, or if you were a high school. The first one is you have quality coaches that believe in their students, and you work with your program to have your students excel at their skill level. So you got to teach them skills, teach them the program, how to be competitive, the character, integrity, everything that goes along with it. That's one. The other part is that we have to do something to promote our athletic program to the communities that enjoy it. And so that taps into, well, what does that mean? Well, he told us, he says, if your program's not going to grow, it's not going to get better if you don't have people in the stands watching the students succeed outside of their own immediate family. So promoting it, working with ASB to promote that, to have game day events. I heard a couple of them that you wanted to do. Chad talked in about there's tons of volunteers in this community that want to succeed and help us succeed. That we have sponsors, that we have alumni night, that we have veterans night, that we have moms and dads nights, that we have things going on at halftime, the promotion to make it an event for the spectators beyond the sport draws everybody in. We're a small enough community where this can be crucial. And it can be so beneficial to your job and the athletic director and the program as a whole to get the money, to draw students to come here and play, to get them to stay here, and then all of our athletic participants will be academic successes, and that's the whole goal, is to make sure they succeed academically. So I appreciate your hard work on that. I know it's late in the year, but the summer's upon us. There's going to be a lot of work. Please tell your coaches that they have a big task in front of them coming up this summer. Support them in all that they do. Make facilities available to them and their student athletes so that we can have a great winter season and a fall season. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Brockway. Thanks for an exciting season. Thank you for sharing with us. I just have one comment and just something to consider. My only little thing is we talked about socioeconomics, and then we talked about, you brought up that they can have their own uniforms if the team decides. And I just want to be cautious, and maybe you are, I'm not saying that you're not, but something that I just want to bring to light is making sure that there's equity with our students, the ones that can't afford the uniforms, that we have a way to provide them with the uniforms. So that's my only comment. Thank you so much. Thanks for all your hard work. And Mr. Brockway, I can't speak for everyone and I can't say anything, but if you felt like you needed to get some coaching happening and you needed to have a special board meeting, I don't think that you should just say that that can't happen. I can't speak for the rest of the board members and the calendar, but we would always do our best to support you and our students and our athletic program. So thanks again for all you do.
Thank you. You guys have a good night.
Hold on, hang on, we're not done. Staff, understand the board does not give you direction. Please understand that. We're up here throwing ideas at the wall. We all have our own things. We want to introduce sports. We want to improve sports. In my world, if I want to introduce a sport, I would be looking at, will one cannibalize the other, things like that. There are all kinds of considerations. Please do not take anything you hear tonight as direction from the board. The board is not here to direct you. The superintendent's office is here to collaborate with you and take input from you for success. So just please do not be confused that just because I say something that you initiate it right away. I'll tell the superintendent's office what I think should happen in my compliances, believe you me, and I think the rest of the board. But do not take direction from this board in building your program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brockway. Okay, so 12A. It is recommended the Board of Trustees approve the appointment of Dr. Eric Sahapian as the superintendent of the schools of the Acton Dulce Unified School District and related employment contract with an effective date of January 1st. We need to move this in.
I will move it in. Second.
Then we'll second. Before we take the vote, I'm going to read. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54953, Subdivision C3, the Board provides the oral summary of salary and fringe benefits as set forth in the proposed Superintendent Employment Agreement between the Acton Dulce Unified School District and Dr. Eric Sahapian. Contract term effective January 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2024. Annual salary of $203,000 effective July 1st, 2021. Annual longevity increases include 2.5% annually on receipt of a satisfactory evaluation for the prior year, and salary increases or decreases as received by all certificated government employees. Paid health and welfare benefits on the same terms as other management employees. In the event that the total premiums exceed the district contribution, the superintendent will be responsible for the difference between the district contribution and the total premium cost. Paid health and welfare benefits in retired or disability on the same terms and conditions as retired or disabled certificated union members. 20 days of annual vacation with pay exclusive of holidays. 20 days of annual sick leave. Reimbursement for actual necessary business expenses, including transportation expenses such as mileage, excluding travel, daily travel, and from work. The district shall pay for necessary expenses associated with professional growth activities approved by the board. The district shall pay the superintendent's membership dues in AASAA, School Superintendents Association, Association of California School Administrators, Chamber of Commerce, California School School Boards Association, and others as may be approved by the board. Any discussion?
Do we, is Dr. Saki here with us this evening?
Yeah, we'll be unmuting him in a little bit. Yeah, he's there.
So I have some comments for him when that time is appropriate. Is this not the appropriate time?
You can make comments if you'd like.
Good. Dr. Sahakian, welcome. This is Board Member Fallsgraf. I got an echo. Now I know what it's like to have other people to hear my voice. I hate it as much as you do. Listen.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Mr. Fallsgraf, Madam President, Board. I'm not sure if you can hear me or see me, but I'm here with you.
Good.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Good. Let's blow up this picture. I want everybody to see it. Yeah. That's what my question was about. Okay. So do you want to vote before
Yes.
I make my comments?
Let's call for the vote.
Fallsgraf, aye.
I am going to abstain.
Jen Weber, aye.
Tim Jordan said aye.
Kelly Jensen, aye. That's a 4-0 vote with one person abstaining. Congratulations, Mr. Sahakian.
Thank you, Madam President.
Can you read your bio and then we'll go around for discussion?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Eric has most recently served as an Assistant Superintendent of Student Wellness and Support Services for the Pasadena Unified School District for over 4 years. Encompassing 28 years of experience in K-12 public education, Eric also served in the capacity of an Executive Director, a high school principal, elementary school principal, middle school assistant principal, and high school lead counselor and teacher. Eric takes great pride in delivering student, family, and community services and maximizing school achievement for students at all levels of learning and overcoming the academic, social, emotional, or physical barriers that may impede student success. Eric is married with 4 children. So welcome. We're going to go around and let the board have some comments, and then we'll let you introduce your family if they're there, or not. You can introduce yourself as well.
Thank
So
you.
welcome.
Dr. Sahakian, it's Ken Fallsgraf. I do have to tell the public that I was the one that wanted to promote internally and try to leave the superintendent's salary or portion thereof on the table. I took that position early. I respect the opinion of my colleagues who encouraged me to go along with the process. I did. I want everyone to know that our superintendent, assistant superintendent team all competed for the position. And in looking at all of the applications and experience and specialties, you remember the second part of your interview, I think probably pretty clearly, and my focus is on federal and state compliances with things that you have a great deal of experience with: special education, equity, Title IX program equity. What has historically been the Title I kids, CTE programs, how to deal with the County Office of Education since you used to work for them and had a good career there. I want to welcome you here. As we discussed, you have a great support team. There are things going on in this district where we have some things emerging finally that have been sore points with me. I am focused strictly for you on state and federal compliance on most of the most basic things. And I'm impressed that you can take this program there. We've got focus on kids. You're coming into a program where you have Mrs. Shaw and Hassan here that are very capable. They're willing to support you. I want you to support them. You're going to put this place on the map academically, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your transparency, Mr. Fallsgraf.
Hi, I'm Brianna Taxoni. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I want to just explain why I abstained. I respect and trust my fellow board members that they have made a great decision on who the next leader of our school district. I'm excited to have you. Your background is impressive. I was not here for the whole process, so I did not feel comfortable without knowing all of the ins and outs that my fellow board members have. I did not feel comfortable voting a yes or a no. So because I am so new and I was not here, I just left it to trust my fellow board members and took myself out of the voting process.
Thank you for that. And congratulations for being the newest board member for the school board. Congratulations to you as well.
Well, respect you for that decision round. So, Dr. Sabian, I can't tell you how excited I am about you coming on board. I knew from within 10 minutes of your first interview that you were the shining star that we need. So please don't let me down, because I put my paycheck on you, man. But okay,
I made him vote his paycheck.
But all kidding aside, I think you were just well-rounded. You're very well put together. You're very well spoken. I think you are going to take this district to another level. I think that the support staff you have underneath you will only accentuate what you already have, and I think that your knowledge will help them be lifted and guided in a positive direction. I really look forward to it. I think the best days and years of our school district are ahead of us, and you're, to me, and we kind of brushed on it in the interview process, your biggest issue here most likely will be the community. You'll be loved, you'll be hated. You can't please everybody, but just go through your job as your conscience tells you to do so, and obviously within the rules and regulations of what we have here. But congratulations, I'm so glad you're here, and I can't wait to see what you do.
Thank you, Mr. Wadsworth. Thank you for the encouragement and the kind words. I'm looking forward to working side by side with the wonderful leadership at central office, leadership teams across the wonderful schools. So thank you.
Yeah, Eric, congratulations. I second Chad's thing. I was excited to have you be the nominee, and that we came together as a unanimous vote to your selection. I think you're going to bring some great assets to our small district. You're going to find that you have a diamond in the rough that you get to polish. So you'll be able to figure it out. I'm confident of that. Excuse me. And I just look forward to you bringing some of your resources and your talents and your thinking outside the box to help our district grow and get back to where it was 5, 6, 8, 10 years ago, and even go on beyond that. The kids are looking forward to it. You'll get along with the community. We've got a great staff. We've got some great teachers. And you just got to make sure that we move forward. I'm looking forward to it. Congratulations. I look forward to meeting you on July 1st at 6 a.m. So make sure
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Jorgensen. It is an incredible school district. I'm looking forward to July 1st and rolling up my sleeves. Thank you.
Welcome to Mr. Harfian. This is Kelly Jensen. I have a question. Did you buy your cowboy hat yet?
You know what? I've been looking on Amazon, trying to get the right one, but I'm going to take some suggestions from the board. Thank you. I remember that discussion.
Yeah, so when you get on that tram, you have your cowboy hat. So, are you ready to go? So we're really excited. You have an awesome team. You have incredible teachers. You have a great cabinet. You have great administrators, great classified staff. Everyone's fantastic. We do have some new people moving into the district office, so they're going to be new as well. So July 1st will be a great day for Active Up, which will see some great things happening. So with that, we do have high expectations. We know you can do it. Like we said, this district is a hidden gem because not everyone knows about us. It's already a gem. It's just kind of hidden. So we've talked about a lot of great things with you. So we're looking forward to having you here on July 1st. And so welcome. You're going to fall in love with this community. It's really just a great place to be. So welcome, and we're excited for you.
Thank you so much. I'm sure I'm going to be falling in love with the community and students and staff and the wonderful community as a whole. I'm honored to be selected as the next superintendent for Acton Agua Dulce Unified. Thank you for the school board for this exciting opportunity. This is an amazing, incredible school district with amazing established programs and accomplishments that I'm looking to continue to grow and enhance and move the district forward collectively and collaboratively. Now, like I said earlier, I'm just eager to roll up my sleeves on July 1st and get to work. So thank you again to everyone.
Thank you, and tell your family congratulations as well.
Yes, definitely. Yes, the 3.5-year-old twins are going to bed. My wife has her hands full. She's juggling right now, but I know she wants to say hello. I know she'll have an opportunity in the near future to see all of you.
So thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you July 1st.
Thank you, everyone.
It's going to be great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Chad Walker, aye.
Kelly Jensen, I 5-0, motion carries. We have 12C memorandum of understanding MOU between Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District and Ivy Charter School, Agua Dulce. Can I get someone to move this in, please?
I'll send you.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Call for the vote?
Paul Scott, aye.
Chad Walker, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye.
Kelly Jensen, I 5-0, motion carries. We have 12D, driftwood piggyback bid. Can I get someone to move this in, please?
I'll move it because I will move it.
I'll second.
It's too big.
Okay, so driftwood is, we're piggybacking off of Farm Bill's bid to be able to provide milk this upcoming school year to our students. And so they came in cheaper than driftwood farms. Utilizing piggyback bids.
So now are they gonna be bringing them out to us? We got that.
No, it'll be the same as they're doing.
Okay, very good.
I do have a question, though. I don't know if you can answer this. Is it the same milk cartons or is it the pouch ones? Do you know? I'll have to, you don't have to follow that with Melina, so. All right.
So, yeah,
Let's
aye.
go. Let's go.
So, Hassan,
Yes.
so tell me how you feel about beating the dairy down for us to buy milk at the same price that the school district that buys 200,000 units buys. Good job. I like that. I hope everyone understands what I said. Hassan over here uses piggybacking of government contracts. So you have these huge districts buying milk from these people. And then he comes in and says, I want 3 cartons for the same price that someone else is buying 5 million cartons. And they have to agree to it. Good job. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
Okay.
He's getting the first 3 cartons off the top of that.
All right, let's call for the vote.
Paul Scott, aye.
Commissioner Saxony, aye.
Chad Walker, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye.
Kelly Jensen, I, that's 5-0, motion carries. 12E, transportation consultant. Can I get someone to move this in?
I'll move it in.
I'll second. Oh, did I miss E? I have E.
We can take this one out of order,
We'll
please.
take this one out of
We'll
order.
look
Let me
back.
see, because I have something else. Okay, let's do the transportation consultant and I'll put it first, because I have a different one. All right, any discussion for Mr.
You're
Mitchell?
right.
Mr. Mercer?
We're discussing the transportation coordinator.
Yeah, turn over to the discussion.
Transportation consultant is Betty Sarkazian, and she provides the training for the hours that are required for our bus drivers to do.
So a point of clarification is Betty has been a district employee of many years and then comes back and does the mandated training that's necessary to keep our bus program or transportation program. So this is someone that is familiar with the intrinsities of the district.
I think she's getting with our transportation coordinator. There's certain requirements with that. We can't internally have our people test yet. We have to have 5 years of experience plus go take the state certification.
So she's still in that board.
So I don't think Natasha up to that 5 years yet, but after she hits that 5 years, she has to go through the certification process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tim Jorgensen.
Kelly Jensen, aye. 5-0, motion carries. Look at my. Okay, so then what would be E? Testing contract, 12E, testing contract agreement between the Department of Health, LACO, and LEA. Can I get someone to dissent?
Okay, so this is a contract between Department of Public Health, LACO, and Acting of Adult Say. They've allocated $386,613 to our district to be able to provide weekly testing, COVID testing. So we selected Vasquez High, but that doesn't limit any of our other students. They can all go, and there's a link that will be sent out and published, so they can pre-register, and they'll all be able to go to Vasquez High, and once we get test kits, they will be shipping out new test kits, and it'll be available.
And this is going to be performed at the high school.
Yeah. And so it's not mandated, but it's an option for the staff and the students. That specifically for English sports, if you're in high exposure, you might want to have your tests. So this will give them that option.
Discussion.
So this is cost neutral to the district. Could you explain the funding source, please?
Yeah, the funding is coming from Department of Public Health. So they've allocated to our district specifically $386,613, and this has to be used for this testing.
That and only that in the voluntary program.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Thank you for putting that together. Can we call for the vote, please?
Paul's graph aye.
Chad Wadsworth, Tim Jorgensen.
Kelly Jensen, aye. That's a 5-0, motion carries. We have 12G, designation of EPO representatives.
Okay, so what this is.
Wait, we gotta move it in
Oh,
first, sorry. Let's move it in. I'll move it in. Can I get a second? Tim, second. Mr. Ritz?
Okay, so as Paulette Newton is leaving our school district, PINCO is our warehouse that houses all of our food in Bakersfield. And so with PINCO, they need to elect so we put on myself and then we call as the representative.
Any discussion?
Does this allow for some position control that allows funding for related positions to be pulled from the funding source for food?
No, this has nothing to do with that. This is just specifically for.
Thank you.
PINCO.
Any other discussion? Thank you guys for taking that on. Okay, let's call for the vote.
Paul's graph aye.
Chad Wadsworth, Tim Jorgensen.
Kelly Jensen, aye. That's 5-0, motion carries. We have 12H, approval of tentative agreement between CSEA and Acton Occidental City High School District. Can I get someone to move this in, please?
I'll move it in. Paul's graph.
Chad will second. Thank you. Then, Mr. Ritz?
Yeah, so we partnered really hard with CSEA, worked together, and we were able to reach a tentative agreement and show that they called 20 vote CSEA. So this is the tier between CSEA and Celsius.
Any discussion? I just want to say, what did you say? You said 28-0?
28.
Thank you very much. Thank you guys and your staff for the hard work. Okay, let's call for the vote.
Paul's graph aye.
Brianna Texas, abstain.
Chad Wadsworth, Tim Jorgensen.
401, motion carries. Thank you. 12I, approval of revised salary schedule for CSA confidential classified management.
And so this just.
Wait, let's get done doing it. It's okay. It's okay, you're doing a great
I'll
job.
move it in. Paul's graph.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Murtha.
Yep, this is just follows the TA, and this is just all the salary schedule.
Thank you. Call for the vote. Any discussion?
Paul's graph aye.
Brianna Texas, abstain.
Chad Wadsworth, Tim Jorgensen.
Kelly Jensen, aye. That's a 401. Motion carries. We have 12J, AB 1200, public disclosure of proposed collective bargaining agreement between the California School Employees Association, CSEA, and Acton Occidental Unified School District for the 2021 school year. Can I get someone to move this in, please?
Paul's graph.
Second.
The second.
Second.
Mr. Murtha.
Okay, so this AB 1200 document is public disclosure of our proposed collective bargaining agreement between the CSB and Active, and so we have to fill this out and submit this too late unless we need to justify and show them that what we did in negotiations spells it out, and if we're in
My understanding is that this, as you described, tells the public what the out-year costs are on anything that is being increased now. Even if it's, as you say, a one-time off the board, it would show that there's no additional costing.
Any other discussion?
Just verifying that we're
Call for the vote.
Paul Girat, aye.
And Texel, abstain.
Tim Jordan.
Kelly Jensen, aye. That's a 401. Motion carries. Thank you. 12K, resolution number 2020-21.23. Creation of Fund 8 ASB. Can I get some consent, please?
I'll move it in, Paul Girat.
I'll second. Mr. Merson.
Okay, so we got contacted by our auditors that, based on GASB statement number 84, they're conducting audit financials. As part of that, a new regulation based on GASB statement 84 is now we have to report all of the ASB activities for this fiscal year actually on our year-end documentation. So creation of Fund 8, when we look at our annual year-end documents and our budget documents, you can see Fund 1 is our general fund, and you'll see Fund 8, which, everything, all financial activities, revenue, and expenses for the ASBs for both the High Desert and Vasca will be reported. So we have to be before we would have to report it now.
Any discussion?
I'll say this, there have been ASB-related findings in the district audit for the past several years. The severity of them has decreased dramatically. Now it's, maybe we should go to the bank on Monday instead of Wednesday. It's gotten down to that kind of thing. This is where you get stuff popping up that is more about the process. Just because there's a finding doesn't mean anyone was taking any money or anything, but it's kind of like the process. Did you do this? Did you do it democratically? Did you go to the right people, through the right channels to do that? And I'll be looking forward to the findings and recommendations, if there are any, and hopefully there are none. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
I just think that this is a positive step because it validates the process by which ASB is student-generated money for students, that we make sure we protect that. And I think it's just a great process that, do it. And then there'll be no doubt the process is there, making sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. No problem.
Thank you. Let's call for the vote.
Paul Girat, aye.
Brianna Texel, aye.
Tim Jordan, so
Kelly Jensen, aye. 5-0. Motion carries. 12L, adoption of local control accountability plan, LCAP for 2022 through 2024.
Paul Girat moves in.
Mr. Munson?
Okay, yeah, so tonight, we presented at last board meeting for the LCAP plan of our district budget, so tonight we can
Any discussion?
Discussion I have is, we went through a long question and answer period. I think we covered a lot of things. There was a question from the public about money that's being set aside for certain things like charter, settlement, court-related payouts, and things like that. If someone asked a question about that, I want to make sure that everybody loops back and make sure that that person got a call and they fully understand it. Other than that, my questions were all answered last time. Good job, guys.
Thank you. And thank you for your work on that. Okay, let's call for the vote.
Paul Girat, aye.
Brianna Texel, aye.
Tim Jordan, so
Kelly Jensen, aye. 5-0. Motion carries. Thank you. 12N, adoption of 2021 through 2022 Acton Aqua City Unified School District budget. Can I get someone to
Paul Girat will move that one in. Charlie second.
Yep, and this is just, once again, to adopt the budget that we presented.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Mirza, I will say this. You looking and trying to balance the charter mess and the payouts and everything, and being very conservative and getting it's it's still emerging about what the parameters are. You're making low estimates to make sure that we don't run over the actual cost of things. I'll commend you on that. The way you presented the budget was very clear. I'm used to working in an environment where the chief financial officer is going rock and roll with the city council. The city manager does not have to, keep your answers quelched down and things like that. So I very much appreciate you have complete command of the budget. I like you don't personalize it. It's just the numbers are what they are, and then you communicate that there should be some things we have to watch out for, things to point. You did a fine job. Your support staff did a fine job.
Good job.
Thank you very much. I appreciate all your work. Call for the vote.
Paul Sheriff, aye.
That one was nice. Good Jordan.
Kelly Jensen, aye. 5-0 motion carries. Thank you. On to future agenda items. We will be scheduling a board study session with the Brown Act, and now that we have our new board member and our new superintendent, so we will be scheduling that. Our secretary will be working, and our staff will be working with Dr. Sahakian, so we will get that scheduled. Is there anything else anyone would like to future agenda items?
I would like to add, I want to look into our harassment training, whether if we have one in place, if it's a live in-person type training or an online training. I would like to make sure that our everyone in general is getting at least an hour of harassment, retaliation, quid pro quo training. All of that should encompass, any race, harassment, gender, sexual preference, all that stuff you do in there. And anybody that's getting that has a supervisory position that's looking over somebody should have 2 hours of that. In the industry I come from, we do it yearly. Sometimes I've done it 4 times this year already, just because every time I start a new project, I have to do it again. But I think it's something very important in this day and age that we have implemented. I would like to see it be as a live presentation with an attorney of some sort that's up on that study. The second thing I would like to look at is the feasibility of having an online program moving forward for the next school year, and if it's practical, meaning if we do an online school or our own homeschool program in this district, would help us keep some ADA within our area. So if we could look into that.
So I think it's a good idea to get consensus. With regards to Mr. Wadsworth's first request, I have personally seen in a work environment someone file a harassment suit, and the ruling was that it was not pervasive, meaning that somebody just said the wrong thing. We all do that. I do that every day. But there was no ill intent, and there was probably some training necessary. The mistake people often make is when you have protected classes, I'm going to go back to a Title IX class. Maybe somebody comes and says, I don't have the access I need. They decide I'm going to take an action. It's found to be that it's not pervasive, but the person who they're questioning kind of cops an attitude and starts giving them a couple of looks. And so many nowadays will start off as harassment claims that are found not to be pervasive and severe but require training, suddenly catapult into retaliation claims. And I am very concerned about that when we're working with each other in the workplace. So I number one, will support Mr. Wadsworth's request for documentable online training for anyone that supervises people, real or perceived. So if I'm director of this and I have third parties that I'm dealing with, I want those people, I want everybody to be really clear on this. I don't need legal exposure. Can someone else support the first one, please? Sure. Thank you. So I think that one was on the agenda. Is there any discussion about the second thing?
Okay. Calendar. Our next board meeting will be August 12th, 2021. So we have board meetings assignment for Thursday. So our next one will be August 12th at 6:30 p.m. Unless there's any special board meetings. All right, for closed session, we did not take any action this evening. So can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting tonight at 9:17? Motion. Okay, Tim will second. Let's call for the vote.
Paul Schrock, aye.
Chad Walker, aye.
Tim Jordan, tonight.
Kelly Jensen, aye. That's a 5-0. We adjourn tonight at 9:17.